CBS 13.
I felt it and I looked up, and I will just say the angles of my room were not angular anymore. It looked like liquid in my house.
A 7.0 earthquake rocks Northern California, triggering a tsunami warning from about Santa Cruz, about 500 miles north to the California-Oregon border. And for a short time, sending people on the coast scrambling to higher ground. We're following two breaking news stories on this busy day, so a lot to get to. Thanks for joining us for the CBS 13 News at 5. I'm Tony Lopez.
And I'm Marley Ginter. We have some new details on the school shooting near Oroville involving two kids, including the identity of the shooter. But
first, we'll get you up to speed on the powerful earthquake that hit Humboldt County and was felt all the way south to Stockton. Let's show you where this 7.0 trembler hit. Off the coast of Humboldt County, offshore of Cape Mendocino, and then a smaller 4.1 quake followed, hitting the Lake County area.
Now let's take a look at this now. Side-by-side video of pools around the area. Yeah, look at that water shaking. Getting shaken by today's powerful earthquake. You can see in Chico and also in Stockton there, people's pools turned into wave pools.
I was going to say, honey, I didn't think we had a wave pool, but all of a sudden, Mother Nature's waves provided by the shaking. Our crews are out and about, spread across the region, with reporters even as far as Humboldt County.
Jeff Harrington is tracking the weather impacts from this. Madison Keevy gathering reaction from people here at home. And of course, Steve Large live in Ferndale, just a few miles from the epicenter. Lots of people felt it up there. We're going to start with Steve, right, Steve?
Yeah, live on Main Street in Ferndale right now. Our second stop, we just got into town. We got another store owner right here we're going to talk to. We do have some video we're going to show you in just a moment of the shaking itself. But let me ask you this. You're live on CBS 13 out of the Sacramento area right now. Sir, are you the owner here or the employee here?
We have 22 owners. We're all artists. We're a co-op.
So what was it like for you to experience this quake this morning? 7.0.
I'm a lifelong resident of this area. I'm used to it.
You're used to it. A 7.0 quake.
Yes.
Okay, all right. This is, I can imagine, we're looking at a lot of frames that must have fallen down. Guys, if we can, right now, hold on a second, if we can show that video of the shaking that we have into our newsroom. We just got this, and I think it'll really show the power of this earthquake, a 7.0 earthquake. This is surveillance video from a store called Farmer's Daughter that really captures just how powerful this particular quake was. Described by people here as a rolling and long earthquake. But incredibly, the story here, guys, is that there has been no significant structure damage reported, no one hurt, and no deaths reported, according to the Humboldt County Sheriff's Department. So anyway, you get a chance to look at that video, and again, we can come back here live on Main Street. And so you're going to let us come in the store for a moment? Just how difficult was it to clean up your shop after this 7.0 quake?
1 hour.
Wow. Okay. You are used to quakes then.
We only lost one pottery mug and a piece of a glass plate.
I think that's the story, guys, is that considering the number on that magnitude, 7.0, which even in California, that's the kind of quake, that's the kind of number that people will stop and get very concerned about the possible damage and also risk of injury and death. The fact that this place is still standing is a testament to the luck and what was the luck they escaped unscathed, guys.
Fair enough. Shots breaking up a little bit, Steve, but you're far away and you're moving, so we'll get back to you soon. But what stories? Obviously, the earthquake itself is large, 7.0, but it's the people involved and the after effect, if you will, the aftershock of comments that come after a shaker like that. They clean up well, by the way, that store,
They
right?
sure
But
did.
that first piece of video, wow.
Yeah, I was just going to say, when Steve showed that video and you saw everything falling off onto the ground. Now let's talk about this one. Today we talked with Natalie Arroyo, a county supervisor for the Eureka area. She tells us she was at her home on a Zoom call when that quake hit. She says this one felt long and forceful, even resulting in some minor damage.
Cracking plaster, facade damage, like many buildings. Historic buildings were, with brick facades, some of the brick came off, things like that.
And while this is the largest quake the area has seen in years, back in 2022, a major quake hit the north coast, sending boulders rolling, breaking glass, and claiming 2 lives. So we know it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, no stranger to earthquakes in this zone. So we're going to go from where Steve was in Ferndale to Willits in Mendocino County. Beautiful coastline, right? Which is about 90 minutes south of Garberville. That's where Hunter Sowards is live. We told you we had you covered all over the place here with this quake. Hunter's got a closer look at how people there fared through the shake. Hunter, any damage as you rolled into town?
Yeah, you know, we are still an hour away from Garberville, but I've spent my day talking to people who live and work in that area, and I can tell you this has been just a monumental moment for them. Of course, we're used to these earthquakes, nothing to this magnitude, but the big headline right now is that there are no injuries reported from Humboldt County Sheriff's Office, putting out a notice just now saying there's about 1,000 people without power. It was so strong, it actually impacted the power grid there, but no injuries, and they are still surveying the damage. So that's the good news. I wanted you to see these photos, though. This is from the Chautauqua Natural Food Store, where they said they were just holding on for dear life as the rolling and the shaking started. I mean, some of the people that were in the store immediately picked up the phone to call family and loved ones. The woman who took these photos even told me that as this was happening, nobody really knew how long it was going to last because, of course, seconds feel like minutes when you're in that kind of emergency mode. But she said everyone stayed calm. They tried to make sure that everybody was okay. And miraculously, the wine apparently shook the opposite direction of the floor. So while you see all the mess that was made, the wine was spared and nobody was hurt. But I spoke to a woman who has lived in Garberville in Humboldt County for decades. Listen to how she described the moments that shaking started.
Whole house started moving and shaking, and all I could do was grab a hold of the island in my kitchen just so I wouldn't fall down.
It was that strong that, I mean, it would have knocked you off your feet.
The house. Oh, yeah. And Mike was outside, and he said, I asked him if he felt it, and he goes, yes. Oh, my God. He says the trees were moving, things were moving all around him. Yeah. It's, as long as I have lived in California, this was probably the worst I have felt.
The worst that she has felt. And believe it or not, she was an hour south of Eureka, an hour south of that epicenter. So you can just imagine, guys, how strong that shaking felt even closer there to the epicenter. But I gotta say, it's been quite remarkable talking to these people who have lived here their whole lives, who just say this has been unlike anything they've lived through.
Yeah. How about that wine bottle swaying the other way? No Cabernet crunch or crash there.
Thank goodness for that.
But Hunter, stay with us. I'm going to use an overused phrase. It could have been much worse, right? We talk about that. But I'm looking again at where this quake happened. If this had happened in, say, in the middle of a major city, that would have been so much worse.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been so much worse, but I also think it speaks to just how prepared California has become and the steps they've taken to try to retrofit buildings and really make sure that they're ready for this moment. I think Chasey Humphrey this morning was talking about just how this should be a wake-up call for us, that these kind of magnitude earthquakes are possible and that we all have to be ready for it.
Right. And it sounds like a lot of people, they felt that shaking. They knew exactly what to do and where to stay in place, what to hold on to. It's
kind of funny, Hunter, you and I were just talking, I think it was yesterday, about feeling an earthquake here in Sacramento and what it would take. And I said it would take a big one. Right. Yeah. Right. And certainly 7.0. All right. Safe travels.
This is it. I think so.
Safe travels up to your destination, as we'll hear from you tonight on Prime Time and again 10 and 11.
Thank you, Hunter. From a town near the epicenter to the wider impacts in the valley, in Davis, Sacramento, down to Stockton, they all felt the quake.
So your reporter, Madison Keevy, is live in Davis, where some shoppers had a midday surprise, we'll call it. Madison, you were on a different assignment, and then you were like, okay, time to pivot, right?
Yeah, we pivoted, we shuffled, we shook ourselves back because when this earthquake hit, we were doing an interview on the Delta in Stockton on the water on a boat dock. And it started moving as if a boat had gone by or if there was a lot of wind. Neither happened, of course. That's just the impact of this. And we're not the only ones with stories like that, from Stockton to Sacramento to Woodland and in between. Viewers at home sent us what they saw.
Lights that went back and forth, the sign of something.
Funny enough, I don't think anyone here was actually freaking out too much. They were just more or less talking amongst each other and trying to get the information.
The earthquake put shopping on pause inside a Davis Nugget. And a few minutes away, shopping on pause inside a Woodland Marshalls.
And I look up and I see all the signs swaying, and I knew right away that was an earthquake.
From Yolo to San Joaquin County, vibrations caused by the seismic waves traveling from the epicenter reached Stockton.
I've lived in California all my life. I grew up in the foothills, and I've never experienced anything like this.
That's really the takeaway from folks that we talked to today of not experiencing one from so far away, feeling it in the way that they did, or seeing those lights shake. And it kind of goes back to that conversation that we had, that you just had with Hunter there, which is preparedness. And a lot of people said, hey, I didn't think all the way in Stockton that I could be impacted in this way. And what if it hit closer? So there's kind of that reminder to be ready wherever you live in California, because these are possible.
You bet it is. And boy, are we glad that, you just see these videos that are incredible, but then when you hear nobody was hurt and all that, that's what we want to hear.
Yeah. All right, Madison. I'm fascinated by where this struck, and I know we're going to get more on this right now, because the triple area of some tectonic plates?
Yeah, Jeff Harrington here now to break that down for us, because you were showing us earlier where all these plates sort of meet, and that's where this all happens.
That's right, you guys. 3 plates converge all in one area, but guess what? Every year, California registers about 500 earthquakes that can be felt. Of course, there's many more that don't even register. They're just under 4, under 3, that sort of thing. But it all has to go to the tectonic plate. So we look at the North American plate. You also have the Juan de Fuca plate and the Pacific plate. So those are the 3 areas we need to focus in. And the 3 converge, as you guys were saying, over Northern California. So this zone right here is prone to earthquakes. And of course, that is what we ended up seeing today, at magnitude 7.0 just off the coast of Eureka. For a time, there were tsunami warnings that were stretching up and down the coast of California, about 500-600 miles. So quite incredible stuff. But the good news is those tsunami warnings have been lifted. Back here at home, it's going to be another foggy start to Friday. We'll dip down to a low of 42. Before I send it back to you guys, let me get you up to speed with your weather for tomorrow. So 42 will be the low. We're shooting for a high of 60. But Marley, Tony, you guys know the name of the game. There's going to be the fog, but by the afternoon, plenty of sun, looking good, not much wind. So we'll keep that trend going. Back to you.
You and Mother Nature have trained us well over the last few days.
You know it.
Thank you, Jeff.